Welcome to the Dr. Leadership Show, where we take a look at how you approach your work and personal life and how we can make the most out of both of them. A weekly get-together where we get real about self-improvement and development as we all make this not-so-easy journey through life. Our discussions will cover ideas and concepts from how to grow your career to how to lead your family towards prosperity and happiness. We don't pretend to know it all, and the doctor is the first to be vulnerable, discussing his own weaknesses, both past and present. This is about growing together and having some fun while we discuss what is happening in the crazy world we live in and how to make the most of it. Let's strive for awesome together. Let's get after it. Hey everybody, it's Dr. Leadership time. Welcome to another edition of the Dr. Leadership Podcast. Hey man, the holidays are upon us. It is the season. Thanksgiving time, Christmas time now. Oh my God, Black Friday, Maniac Monday on online stuff, all the things I don't participate with. I don't participate in any of those shopping things. That's just that's cray-cray. I don't get that at all. Today, we're going to jump in and continue on how to build and give a killer presentation, which we started last week. This is part 2. But first of all, you all need to go out and join the membership site at www.drleadershipresults.com. That's www.drleadershipresults.com. The reason you need to go out and join is because I got interviews with famous athletes, Hall of Fame NFL Super Bowl winning coaches, Navy pilots, Air Force pilots, combat mission stories, famous authors, unbelievable CEOs that own their own companies, public speakers and executive coaches. All this is at your fingertips for not $6, but $5 a month. And you haven't joined yet? Personal development is the key to success. People are not going to hand you everything at your company. You got to go out and you got to look for things that drive you to the next level. And I think the Dr. Leadership Podcast and several hundred of your friends and family members also think that it's worth the investment. So go out and give us a shot. Subscribe. You can cancel at any time. It's also a great way to share with friends. Hey, have you checked this out? Help a brother out. Someday I'm going to retire, years down the road, but I'd like to have something kind of keeping the family afloat. Got to figure out how to pay for health insurance. I'm hoping this kind of gets me partway there. It's not about the money. It's about the fun. It's about sharing, but great stories out there. You also get early access to upcoming episodes. I run 3-4 weeks in advance typically, especially through the holidays because I got to get ahead so I can enjoy family and friends as well and not be stuck in the studio. But check it out. Also, give us an email. Give us some insight on what you like, what you don't like. Ask questions. Throw some commentary at us. We can be reached at our email at drleadershipresults@gmail.com. Give it a try. Would love to hear from you. So last week, we started on episode 60, part 1. Yes, 60 episodes, man. And part 1 was of how to build and give a killer presentation. People are scared to death to speak in public. These aren't all the steps you got to take. These are the big blocks. You got to get yourself comfortable through practice and prep. But I think that some of this feedback has been important to give you a good framework, which was an important first step, a good outline on how to become more comfortable with presenting in public and to give a killer one. It's important to give a good presentation when you can. It's okay to have butterflies. It's okay to be nervous. That's natural. As I said last week, we don't want you to be robots out here. But you got to be comfortable enough that you don't blow it up there. We don't want anybody, tagging out up there and running off the stage. Okay, and I'm going to touch on that in a minute too. So last week we discussed how to develop what to present. We talked about storytelling. We talked about being like a detective story, right? The murder has happened. Here's the current situation. Not a murder. The crime has happened. Something bad's going on. The current situation isn't good enough. Then you go on the journey of discovery. That's the middle part of the presentation. And then the big aha moment, the close. And Your Honor, that's why Mr. Smith killed his fiancée. And the jury stands up and claps and goes, guilty, man. Send him to the guillotine. That's what you're looking for is the close. Not the guillotine part, but the fully 100% unanimous decision that you rocked it. You got to search for the solution in that aha moment. Drive value as the answer, right? Don't give the prospect just data points, but give them the why you're clearly the choice. That's where the win happens in the presentations. They walk out and they clearly understand the why. Why you? Why your company? Why your solution? Why your product? Why your service? You gotta pound the why in there, and you gotta make sure that it's all understood for the big close. And then the other thing we touched on, just a reminder: don't use your own vernacular. Use common language. Don't use acronyms. Don't talk over their head, and don't be too remedial. You gotta mama bear this thing. You gotta get it just right. But don't use your own vernacular. Don't use your own jargon or acronyms. The other thing we discussed was you gotta know your audience. Just doing a little refresher here, okay? You gotta know your audience and prepare the layout and the data versus story weighting for the people you are presenting to. If it's a money cruncher, an internal meeting, you got to know the data pretty well. You got to show the bosses, you got to show her that you understand your business. If it's a prospect, someone you're trying to get to engage with your company, you got to focus more on the emotional side. Draw out the why, the excitement, get them fired up. So know the audience you're presenting to. The biggest key is be prepared. Practice, practice, practice. And have your backup data available, handouts, etc. It's okay to be nervous. Remember that. So I say don't put too much data in the slides. It's okay to have kind of an appendix after the fact that has more data to refer to. But if you put too much data in there, you won't get through the presentation. If you've got an hour, you can't have a 40-page presentation unless you talk really, really fast. If you talk really, really fast, then you can have as many pages as you want in the presentation because you'll get all the way through it. But if you talk at a level to enhance the engagement with the audience, you put in pauses for effect, you have them contemplate, self-diagnose, look in the mirror, think about what you're offering, you're going to take more than a few seconds on every slide. So don't pack the house, meaning the presentation book, with too many pages. You got to be able to get to the close. Practice, practice, practice. Once you've prepared all the info, you've laid out the flow, you've created the storyline, etc., now comes the most critical part. Now you got to give the damn presentation. And this is where people get really, really tight. Oh, I hate public speaking. As I said last week, I hate spiders. I don't like snakes either, but I had to grab a snake last week too. I'm telling that story because I felt myself a hero when I did it. And you look around and see if the neighbors saw you squealing. And, oh, Jesus, get it. My dog's looking at me like, you're crazy. It was funny. Now you got to give the damn presentation. Enter stage right. That's you walking on the stage or into the room, right? You've been introduced. The way to remember this, no pressure here, but this is how I think about it and how I tell my folks. Every presentation is opening night. Opening night on Broadway, opening night on concert, opening night at the theater. Time to kill it. You need the reviews to be good, man. Make or break. Got to have the big opening weekend, right? Mission Impossible's never had a bad weekend because the build-up to it's always been great. You got to kill it. So, enter stage right. Sometimes we don't get to choose the stage layout or the room layout, and some of these things, it dictates how you can present, how the layout of the room is. I'm kind of stumbling here because I'm picturing it in my own mind. You can't always do it the way you'd like it because you don't get to choose the arena. So you got to be able to work in a couple different rooms and environments. So when I'm talking about how to give the presentation, I'm going to touch on a couple different environments. The first is, what if it is a stage? What if it is a big room with a screen for content behind you? The first thing is always have those slides printed out with highlighted, this is my approach, highlighted hot words. I've handwritten some things in bold print. I've underlined with a highlighter the key words on that slide, the key themes on that slide that I want to get across. All right? the reminders. Ensure you nail your big plays, right? This is the over the middle 20-yard play on this slide. Enhance for effect, right? This is what you got to do on your presentation slides. Now, you walk on the stage, and I have talked about humor, and I've talked about self-deprecating humor a lot on the podcast. I think it's very important to have a sense of humor, not take ourselves too seriously. So I like to start presentations with a big thank you, and then I like a little self-deprecating humor. Something like, I have a voice and face for radio, so sorry if I am distracting to you. The face for radio is the joke part. You hope you get a little chuckle. I do have a decent voice, and I do say that often. I have a voice and a face for radio. It's kind of my standard joke, but the people that I'm talking to this time haven't heard it. So it's okay to have a go-to line. I have several, but it's okay to have that go-to line, but break the ice, right? Something about what someone said earlier on in the presentations too. If there's some way you can tie in, not to poke fun at them, but poke fun at yourself about what they may have said, or maybe they gave you a glowing introduction, you go, there is no doubt I'm going to disappoint the audience with that good of an introduction. It's just a boom. You get a laugh out of everybody. It takes the tension out of everybody on what's he going to be like, what's she going to be like. It suddenly opens up everyone's senses a little bit and allows them to just take a deep breath, right? You got to find that tension breaker to the audience. That's key. You got to break down the barriers. You got to turn it into an us moment, not a what is he or she talking about today. Oh, I've seen this guy. I bet he's going to think he knows everything. No, man. Let's break the tension down. This is a journey together, right? It's a road trip. We're all in the car, man. There's some rules. Everybody's got to be nice to each other. Pay attention. Co-pilot, you're in charge of which off-ramp. Do not let me down. So say something that breaks the ice. I think that's very, very important. If you're at a podium, if someone has laid this thing out and they go, here's a podium and here's a standard, just the microphone's the only thing you got, I would hope that there is a strap, a clip-on microphone that you can put on your lapel, on your shirt, on your collar, something to wear, and not be held captive at the podium. If you are held captive, it's tough to build a presence on the stage. So if you ever know it's going to be like that, ask them if you could please have a mobile microphone, because it's going to be far better for any of you, right? I hope that stuck at the podium presentation is few and far between on you, because I just hate them. Because what ends up happening is you're either looking at the screen or you're looking like you're reading, even when you just look down every once in a while. It's tough. Ask for that portable mic. Leave the draft you have that you've brought up with you on the podium, but move around. This is critical. It displays confidence, and it also allows you a very important step, which is to engage with the audience. By moving around, so let's say it's the most I've probably spoken to 1,000 people, I suppose, maybe 800. Typically, you're speaking to a group of, in a sales environment, 4 to 10, 12 people maybe. In a group environment, you might have 4 or 5 of your own people there, so maybe it's 16, 17 people. I have new rep, I'm part of new rep introductions or new employee introductions. I may be speaking to 40, 50 people at a time every month on those things that I engage with. Those are virtual typically. And then I speak at conferences. I do a general session at the IPMA conference every year, and there I'm speaking to a couple hundred people pretty regularly. But if it's in an auditorium, if you're giving a big presentation, if you're in a room where you're on a stage, the reason you want to move around is you get to break down the audience into smaller chunks, right? Not only does it display the confidence, but you get to engage in those smaller numbers. You break a big room into a smaller space, and what you do is you pick a few friendly-looking people. So let's say you start the presentation. I go left first. I'm not saying I always go left first, but I'm going left. And I look over there, and a lot of times when you're in the center of a podium on a stage too, is you look up and the lights are in your face, and it just becomes this mesh of cells. You don't have any individual interaction. By moving, looking down rows 1 through 6, you're picking a section, 4 or 5 friendly people, you're smiling, you're making eye contact, you look them in the eye, and now you're speaking to individuals. You have taken an uncomfortable big room and personalized it. This is not only for you, but this is also to start getting cheering sections in each section of the room. You're trying to create a buzz. So in these big auditoriums, you break it down. That eye contact is key. Speak up, be confident, right? Don't yell. Don't talk too fast. Don't turn your head away from your microphone a lot. If you're holding a mic in your hand, don't drop the mic. Keep it up to your face. Get used to how you sound through that mic. It won't sound right at first. You sound like you're coming right over the top of you, or you sound like you aren't being heard. One of the two. Typically, the speakers aren't dialed in. Okay? And speak up confidently. You can refer to the screen, turn to it and point. It's a quick reminder, but don't face the screen. Because what happens is, just like this, you can't hear me so good anymore. I'm facing the screen and then I come back to the microphone. That sound breakdown and everything is not good if you're stuck at a podium. It shows that you aren't really confident in the content, and it will throw people off. Don't read it. Your back to the audience is a mood killer, right? They don't want to see the heels of your shoes, man. They don't want to see the back of your head. They want to see your eyes. They want to hear your voice. They want to see your confidence, and then slowly kind of move around. Start on that podium, move left. Cover the slide. Tell a part of the story. Build expectations. Change the slide. Hopefully it's a hand clicker and not working from a laptop on the podium. If it's working on the laptop on the podium, as you're finishing up the first slide, slowly move over to it. This is why practice is important. Timing. You kind of know what your last point is. It's okay to be a few seconds at the podium, click the button, change the slide as it's transitioning the back, then start moving to the right. You change the slide, go to the right. As you speak, engage a few people on that side. Eye contact. Several people. You pull that section in. Now you got a cheering section on both sides of the field. When you're in the center at the podium, look down at the first few rows. Look up. Middle rows. Make some eye contact with people. Engage. Don't look at them and pass on. Look and make sure they see you're looking at them. It draws them in. Now here's where you need to use your body language. Be expressive. Use your hands. Pull the audience in. Don't look like a cheerleader leading a cheer out there. Don't have too much going on that is distracting, but don't stand with your arms just at your side, not being expressive. If you aren't excited, they aren't going to be excited, man. So you got to have enough energy there. You got to use your body language. You got to use your assets to pull the people in. Don't sway or dance. Don't skip. That shows nervousness. But be that great lead singer of that legendary rock band, right? Pull them in. Be that person that draws attention. Hey man, this person, she's really got a presence on stage. That's what they're thinking. Gosh, I could never do that. Look at how she moves so effortlessly around. Man, that suit she's got on is awesome. Wow, that sport coat he's got on is awesome. Man, he's got a great voice, but that face, that's when they're talking about me. Walk the audience through your journey. Move around. Pull them in. High points from your bullet points on each slide. Key concepts. Big word at the top. Mention this. Don't forget this on the bottom. So you start and you end with your key points, your big plays, right? You're going for the score. Don't blow it. Not too much content. Don't read it. Don't look at the screen too long. It's okay to refer to it because then you're part of the audience. You're leading them to it. Notice on the third bullet, this part of the story. It's okay to draw their attention in. If you got 5 bullets up there, there's an old 5, 5, and 5 scene. No more than 5 bullets, each with only up to 5 words, and no more than 5 minutes on a slide. That is a good roundabout approach. Sometimes content takes longer on a single page, especially if it's a data one. You may have questions. So be sure to refer to the important points. A laser pointer is nice too. If you look up here in section A, or maybe it's a diagram that you're trying to share, you need to pull them in, or a spreadsheet. You got to circle up, it's cell G37 and there's 50 cells on the slide. You got to pull them into the right spot. All that's engaging, right? You're kind of the maestro. You're conducting the symphony, right? Walk the audience through that journey. It's important. Now, what about So that's kind of the big room approach. My favorite is a much more intimate environment. I don't mind speaking to a big audience. Excuse me, it's not as fun. It's not as engaging. But a small room or a boardroom or something like that, that's my mojo. That's what I really enjoy. Because you can really engage and build that interpersonal relationship. You got to move around, you got to engage. Now, my favorite is if I'm in a room, I'm up at the front, screen behind me, podium off to the left or right's fine. You don't need a microphone, and it's a U-shaped table that I can walk in the middle of. I'm in my space, man. That's what I love. I can move around in the middle. My eye-to-eye contact is key here. You speak confidently, be engaging, and kill it. Stop in front of people, lean on the table. Make them be a part of it. You get to lead the emotional effects of that room any way you want. And the great thing about a U-shaped room is if you work down towards the end of the U, you're at the open end where you're speaking from, you start. You move around, you meander, you look left and you talk to them for a second. You look right, and I'm moving away from the microphone here on purpose so you can feel the journey. And then you finish at the end, at the closed end of the loop. Press the change slide button, make your finish point there, and as you turn around to walk back up to start this and repeat it, you get a look at the slide for your quick memories. You aren't turning your back on the audience. You're resetting your journey for the next set of conversations. So it's a natural way to transition back to my data points. Want to make sure I want to look at it. You're going to go back up, check your notes real quick, touch on it, say, I'm just going to look here, make sure I don't forget something important. It's okay to say things like that. It's humanizing the environment. And then you get back in, left to the right, to the left, to the right, down at the end, big finish. If there's somebody that's engaged you, awesome. Any questions? Someone engages you, awesome. Walk over to them, look them right in the eye. That's an awesome question. What a great question, Sue. Bill brought it up earlier, pointing across the room. You humanize this whole thing. Use the space. Sorry, my notes are going crazy. I'm switching hands. I'm animated here in my studio today because this is what gets my juices going. I mean, first of all, I'm always interested in what I have to say. I love speaking. My dad was an identical twin, and he and his brother were very different. My dad was more quiet. Where did I get this, right? My mom. But his identical twin brother was loud. Great guy. And I mean identical twins. Thank God my uncle grew a mustache when I was about 10, so I'd quit calling him dad too. But one thing about him is in the yearbook, and this is back in the 40s because they were World War II. They graduated in 44 and off to the Pacific they went to save the world. But they'd always put like the statement, most likely to succeed underneath your pictures and such. Underneath my uncle's picture, it said, generally speaking, he's generally speaking. That's hysterical. It's okay to be excited about what you have to say. That energy will transition the audience into your favor, I promise. So move around, engage, use that eye-to-eye contact. Once you're in it, you start to calm down the butterflies, right? You're moving around, you're engaged. The butterflies disappear like halfway through the first song for the rock singer, right? You find your mojo, you find your sound, the monitors are tuned in, you're comfortable, it's going to be okay. Try not to let them see you sweat. Make sure you shower in the morning, extra deodorant, man. Those things happen. Be calm. Quick Navy SEAL little step here that I've heard about and looked up again to make sure I had it right on fighting those butterflies when you're getting ready to go up. They use a breathing exercise to calm themselves before, and I think it's good for giving presentations too. They use it before they go into the hot house, going in, taking out terrorists and such. I suppose a lot of this is being done over in the Middle East right now. But it's basically 4 things about breathing. Take a deep breath in over the count of 4. So as you're breathing in, 1, 2, 3, 4. You hold it for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And do it 4 times. That ends up being 48 seconds. So a minute before you go on, you're in the back, you're ready to go. Just kind of take those deep breaths, take it in, settle yourself down. So we talked about how you present in a big room. We've talked about how you present in a smaller environment. Be prepared, be engaging, eye contact, move around, be expressive, gesturing, speak with confidence. Refer to your slides quickly, briefly. Keep notes on your big hits, the big plays that you want to make on each, and make sure that that last page wraps it together, delivers the value, delivers the why. Now, a couple important steps. If you're stuck at a podium, don't lock your knees, man, and pull the America's Funniest Home Videos best man passes out, falls into the bride situation. You lock your knees, you don't breathe regularly, you can pass out. You don't want that. That will be the most memorable presentation you ever give for all the wrong reasons. So move around. Make sure you take a glass or a bottle of water up there to drink. Don't take sodas, causes hiccups. Don't eat a bunch before you go up. That gives you the repeats and that kind of stuff when your indigestion's hitting. Don't want an empty stomach. You need to have some blood sugars and those types of things. Make sure you've eaten an hour before the presentation so you don't have any pass-out situations at all. But don't lock your knees. Tie the shoelaces. Make sure you don't take a stumble that way. And you just don't end up on America's Funniest Home Videos is the key there. So the key to a great presentation is as follows: preparation, delivery, execution, excitement, eye contact, command the room. It's okay to have the butterflies. It's okay to be nervous. Whether it's big or small, it's okay. You're going to be able to handle this. If it's data-driven, be data-driven. If it's a presentation to sell or convince people, don't use your own vernacular. Don't use acronyms that mean nothing to people. Have good data, but have the emotional journey. Be that detective. Be that person that says, here's what we're trying to solve. That's the crime. Here's the journey that I take on, what we discovered trying to solve this through our consulting engagement, through our assessments, through our knowledge in this space. This is what we found. This is what we feel is the right change to happen that will lead to this outcome. And the jury all unanimously says, you just won the case. And the reason your presentation won the case is because you're awesome. Keep that shit up. Talk next week.